They keep saying that the economy is going to get worse, and all the top 600 companies are talking about it in terms of revenue. They say this is the worst time. So it's even worse than during the IMF crisis. They say it's even worse than during the financial crisis. So nice to meet you. This is Kim Ki-hyun, Richgo.
Professor, and you've never done anything like this before, but you're going to hold a free special lecture, right?
On Tuesday, December 17th at 8 p.m., I will be giving a special lecture for 1 hour without fail. If you miss this opportunity, it's over.
As far as I know, you've given a lot of lectures through membership, but isn't this the first time you're doing it for free?
No there.
Why are you doing this? Is this just out of generosity?
It's not just generosity. I do have a bit of a personal interest, but how can it be just generosity? I do have a bit of a personal interest, but there's actually a lot more generosity involved. That's the truth. A lot of people might think that what they hear from me on YouTube is all there is to Kim Ki-hyun. But the reason I created Richgo is that I wanted to excel in real estate investment myself. And actually, I have made various investments with Richgo, and now I am running a membership that is quite expensive, so there is a big difference between what is talked about there and what is talked about on YouTube.
It's different by level.
I can't talk about everything here because now, in the case of stocks, I can buy them on the market. But that's not the case with real estate. So I think there are some risks in revealing such in-depth information about real estate in the open. And that's why I'm talking about the special talk about business again on Tuesday, December 17th at 8 p.m. The real estate market in 2025 is very similar to the end of 2021 and the end of 2007. So what does that mean? If we look at the real estate markets of 2008 and 2022, it indicates that similar events will happen in 2025. However, if we look at 2008 and 2020, the real estate market experienced a significant decline. It dropped to a level close to a crash. And that's why I clearly stated back in October 2021 that we had a once-in-a-decade selling opportunity. I pinpointed it right at the peak. Of course, Gangnam, Seocho, and some high-priced areas in Japan have somewhat recovered. But for the majority of the regions, there's no sign of recovery at all. There's no chance of recovery, so the timing was exactly right. But I believe that time was a perfect selling opportunity, and I think that starting from around 2025, or at the latest by 2026, we could see a perfect buying opportunity. So, a lot of people watch RichgoTV because they're really thinking about how to make data-driven decisions for buying their own homes. Kim Ki-hyun doesn't just talk, he discusses various insights based on data, and because of that trust, many people have come to appreciate what we do. I understand that the session is expected to last about an hour. What topics do you mainly cover? Since it's free, on the 21st, I'm also holding a paid lecture, and that one is almost full with 80 people already signed up for the offline session. But aside from this, I really wanted more people to access good information for free, so I prepared this lecture. In 2025, a lot of different variables will be coming into play. Already, some interest rate cuts have already begun, and with Trump ushering in the 2.0 era, we don't know what might happen next, but prices are still very high. So 2025 is going to be a market with a very high level of difficulty. It's a person with a high level of skill. It's going to be tough. So it's going to be a very challenging market. And paradoxically, because the market is tough, there are plenty of opportunities that the public can't see, which could lead to a rise in the asset class. I started my membership program in 2024. So right now, there are about 200 people who have joined and are participating. Some of them are already engaging in Plus P investments. Plus P investment means that you can generate money and acquire real estate. And I believe that these opportunities will continue to increase in the future. So what I'm telling our VIP membership members is that within the next 5 years, it's possible to multiply your assets by about 10 times. This means that such opportunities are approaching. So I believe that such opportunities are. In 2021, I talked about a once-in-a-decade selling opportunity that might come around, and I thought it might happen in 2022. But the government forcibly blocked that from happening. This declined. So in 2023 and 2024, we saw 2 consecutive short-term rebounds. But I think in 2025, the situation will change quite a bit. I believe the landscape is going to change quite a bit. And so I think the incredible opportunity I've been waiting for a long time is likely to arise sometime in 2025. So for those who are interested, when is it? On Tuesday, December 17th, at 8 p.m. If you can't listen, then there's no other chance. I'm not even going to make this public. That's it. That's it. So this is the end, which means that for those who are really interested, you absolutely have to join and listen at that time. That's the only chance you'll have to hear it. Since it's free, this is the only opportunity available at this time, so I think it would be great if those who are interested could join us. There's also a link in the pinned comment where you can sign up, so just click that link and apply.
Let me explain the participation process a bit again. So if you comment on the pinned link, you can join right away, right?
Yes, pinned link.
So even if you don't participate right away, yes, if I show you for a moment while you're looking for it, the content we'll cover at that time will be future projections for 2025 based on big data. At that time, you'll also be informed about investment opportunities, and since it's an hour long,
I'll definitely do my best to prepare.
I think it would be easier to understand if you could show the screen for this.
If you click the pinned link, this will come up. So, if you click on the registration link, everything you need is right here on the right side, so it's not difficult at all. By doing so, we will create a great lecture where we can share good opportunities for the upcoming 2025.
Yes, it's December 17th. Make sure to remember that. I hope you can turn the upcoming crisis in 2025 into an opportunity. Please participate in the comment.
Recently, if you look at the news, there are a lot of really depressing stories. So today another shocking indicator has come out. It's the longest period of business recession in 50 years. There are these kinds of details, so let's take a look at what they are. Our Korea Economic Association conducts and publishes a survey called the Business Condition Survey Index, targeting the top 600 companies based on sales. So, since we're talking about the top 600 companies based on sales, these are actually the companies that account for a large portion of Korea's total sales, and this is the Business Condition Survey Index for those companies. Now, as you can see, since April 2022, it has been below the baseline of 100 for 33 consecutive months, indicating that the business sentiment among companies has been deteriorating for a long time. So, the top 600 companies based on sales are all saying that the economy is going to keep getting worse. So just how bad is it that it's been below the baseline for 33 consecutive months? Since the Business Condition Survey started in January 1975. So this survey has been conducted for 50 years. For the past 50 years. But when was the worst time in the last 50 years? They say this is the worst time. So it's even worse than during the IMF crisis. They say it's worse now than during the financial crisis. So the content of this newspaper article really highlights that the economy, as felt by businesses, is currently the worst in history. I'm more worried about the situation moving forward. And at the end of November, the production, consumption, and investment indicators for October were announced, and it turns out that all of them have decreased. So, production is down, and then consumption is down, and investment is down as well. If you look at the details, production in semiconductors and finance and insurance has gone up, but in the automotive and retail sectors, it's all gone down. So, you can see that the automotive and retail sectors are currently in quite a bad state. So, production is generally decreasing right now. That's because people aren't spending. Since they're not spending, production can increase right now. So, consumption is currently decreasing. Sales of non-durable goods and semi-durable goods have seen a slight increase, but the decline in durable goods is quite significant. So overall consumption is once again shrinking in this situation. So the situation with investment is the most serious right now, with both facility investment and construction investment all declining. So production, consumption, and investment are all continuing to get worse in this situation. So they call it a triple decline. Everything is currently getting worse in this situation. At least the driving force of the Korean economy right now is exports, and exports have been in the positive for 14 months. So it's still in the positive, but how does the growth trend look? The growth rate has been declining since it peaked in July of this year, continuing to drop in August, September, October, and November. So how much has the growth rate fallen? It's dropped to 1.4%. At least the semiconductor sector has increased by 31%, which has helped boost things a bit, but overall the growth rate of exports has significantly decreased. So we Some people see the trade surplus as a good thing, but the important point is that imports are also decreasing. So, as you can see, the import growth rate has been continuously declining, and in November, imports themselves are now decreasing. So, imports are now starting to decline in earnest, and as a result, the trade balance is currently in surplus, and many people are talking about this as a recession-type surplus. So, we are currently seeing a situation where both exports and imports are declining together. So, if it seems like the situation will improve in the future, companies would. During tough times, investments usually increase, which helps boost the economy and create jobs. But the problem right now is that right now, 7 out of 10 large companies have no investment plans for next year or are still undecided. Right now, large companies are really struggling. So, they say it's the worst situation in 9 years. So, as you can see here, 58.5% of large companies plan to reduce their investment next year compared to this year. It's a bigger deal that large companies are planning to cut back on investments. And next year, we will implement austerity measures and restructuring. About 60% of large companies are doing this. So, I think things will get really tough next year. And I have some friends who work at large companies, and the situation is really scary these days. They say that they are pushing very hard to completely investigate and restructure any projects or tasks that were done wrong. So, it seems like the situation is getting really serious right now. So, if we take a closer look at the current export situation through other articles, as you all know, South Korea is a country that is highly dependent on exports. So, we can say that the South Korean economy ultimately relies on exports. And the biggest shares of those exports come from China and the United States. So, if you look here, the red line represents China's export figures. The blue line represents the export figures for the United States. Now, if you look at it, China's export figures peaked in 2021. And as you can see, they have been continuously declining in 2022, 2023, and 2024. Who has been filling the gap from the decrease in export figures? As you can see, the United States has been increasing its exports continuously from 2021 through 2023, helping to offset the decline from China. Overall, things were okay, but in November. So what does it look like for 2024? The US hasn't really seen much of an increase in exports either. Actually, it has slightly decreased. China has also seen a decline. So what's going on right now? Exports targeting the US and China are completely stagnating right now. So it's definitely a concerning situation right now. But I really think the real problem isn't now, but in 2025, because as you all know, Trump has been elected president, and once he takes office, he's been issuing some serious warnings. So, China and Russia are challenging the dollar's dominance, and they are going to impose 100% tariffs. If the US does that to China, if that happens, China and Russia won't just sit back and do nothing. And for South Korea, which somehow has to survive by exporting in the middle of all this, it seems like a much more critical situation is inevitable. It's going to be really tough. And Trump has issued some terrifying warnings, saying that he will sequentially unleash a barrage of tariffs. So, until 2026, I'm going to increase it threefold. They said they would triple the tariffs. This could be a fatal blow to the Korean economy, which relies on exports to make a living. So, I really think that next year, Trump's influence could be enormous. So, if Trump really starts imposing tariffs and South Korea's exports collapse, then considering that domestic demand and investment are already in shambles, if the one remaining pillar, exports, also turns negative and declines, 2025 could be a really tough road for the South Korean economy. I think these concerns are already being reflected in the stock market, and I also believe it will have a significant negative impact on the real estate market as well. Let me summarize the content once again. The business outlook has been in decline for 33 consecutive months. This is the longest period since the statistics were compiled in 1975. So, it's a situation that's even more serious than during the IMF or financial crisis. And there's a triple decline happening in production, consumption, and investment. Exports are still increasing, but the growth rate has significantly decreased, now dropping to around 1%. And in November, even exports to China and the US have started to slow down. And even the large corporations are tightening their belts, restructuring, and 70% of them have no investment plans for next year. I'm talking about this right now. And now, 25 years later, Trump is even warning of a nuclear bomb. If that happens, it could be an even more devastating blow to export-related companies. So, exports, which are the mainstay of the Korean economy, are in a very dangerous situation, and the only thing that is doing well in the asset market, especially the real estate market in the 3 districts of Gangnam, is that many people are currently investing in US stocks and coins, and since the situation is still very good, they are still making investments like that and are. Because there are some people like that, I believe that the prices in Gangnam's 3 districts, which are rare, are still holding up well. But if by any chance, if in 2025 US stock prices or cryptocurrencies start to falter or can no longer rise, I think even the real estate in the 3 districts of Gangnam could be significantly affected. Overall, our economy is slowly sinking, like we're getting stuck in a swamp, and as a result, the number of auctions is increasing dramatically. So, the number of apartments and buildings in Gangnam that are going up for auction is continuously rising. Okay, so really, I think 2025 is a time when we need to focus on risk management more than ever. So, there are times when we need to grow our money and times when we need to protect our assets. I think 2025 will be a very important year for protecting assets. One of the very good ways to protect these assets is to hold a significant portion of them in dollars. You could do this through dollar deposits or stock investments, but that can be risky. So I think if you buy a good amount of dollars safely, it could help hedge against any potential risks that might come our way. Well, it's already the end of the year. There's less than a month left in 2024 as we wrap up this precious year of 2024. I truly hope that many good things come your way, and I wish you a happy end of the year. With that, I'll conclude today's broadcast. Thank you.